Another decently known returnee from the days of Meteorot Navi, it is CPM-0 Nutscracker, with a kit of Destroy, Double Effect Clear, Wheel Legs, and the leg ability of Forester, which grants S rank on forest terrain in addition to the leg standard matches. Now, as an event reward, honestly, Nutscracker brings a lot to the table that we have not seen relatively often, but this is definitely a great chance to get a hold of some very solid parts, even if they are conditionals. Destroy, of course, is a very solid one. We've seen it before. We've had access to it in the past, especially as non-heavy parts. In addition, it is a gambling move that instantly breaks apart if it correctly targets the part that the target had used, cooldown phase, is going to use, heat phase, or if it's a shield. If there's a shield in play, it is instantly destroyed. If it meets any of the above requirements, the part is instantly broken. Otherwise, the part only deals regular damage or minimal damage at most. Effect Clear is a relatively niche ailment. I would say it's an anti-ailment move, I suppose. As what it does is it checks the target for any positive effects that are in play. This includes radar sight, conceal, stealth, shoot boost, fight boost, anything that may be considered a positive bonus or stat boost to an ally or an enemy. And after it checks, it'll then forcibly remove it from the target and deal additional damage for every positive buff that it removes. So this is a case where if your target is using someone like Blazer Mate or Scorpio's Head that makes use of using a lot of support buffs on the team at once, Effect Clear will very quickly cut that down and guarantee that you play back on an even playing field again. In addition, this also includes Stat Cleanse. So say, for instance, there's Stat Cleanse on a team, which is very, very normal in competitive meta, to guarantee that any kind of ailment moves don't do anything. Effect Clear guarantees that they can, because now it's going to forcibly remove the effect and make him susceptible to, say, that freeze attack or that turn skip, and make it easier to maintain your regular pattern and formation for a nuke or a strategy without having to buy time or waste a turn whittling down or waiting for a stat cleanse or another positive effect to wear off first. Wheel Legs honestly give Nutscracker a very high mobility naturally at about 917, which is very, very nice. And the leg ability of Forester actually is fantastic on Wheel Legs, because Wheel Legs in particular are probably one of the pickiest of the bunch, as they're only good on cyber terrain at S rank at best, and only one or two terrains are considered A rank at the very highest. Everything else is C rank or lower, which means you're going to be facing a leg stat debuff on any terrain that is not particularly road, stadium, or cyber in this case. But on top of that, even with having a niche kit like she does, Nutscracker does have some pretty solid stats across the board. About almost 3,200 HP for the head, about 2,600 per arm, which is relatively squishy, but also in that sweet spot, I suppose, for female builds, and about 3,500 for the legs, which also is very, very solid as a high speed and high HP leg. The legs also have some pretty solid stats too, about 1283 for that melee resist, a little low on the shoot resist, I suppose, but that can honestly be fixed or buffed relatively decently. Very high evade as well at 1351, meaning that she's going to be able to graze or dodge attacks relatively decently and relatively easily if she's not caught in something that prevents her from doing so. So as a pure set score, I would rate her about a 6.5 out of 10 perhaps, because she is conditional, meaning that if certain conditions aren't met, she's going to be missing out on a lot of her potential damage output, essentially. And on top of that, Wheel Legs also are very specific to certain terrains, and on everything else, they are not great. For that reason, using her as a pure set would be a exercise with caution, essentially, and maybe do your research on your opponent before using her. As mixed parts, on the other hand, I would rate her higher at a 7.5 out of 10 for reasons stated above. Very fast, very tanky wheel leg with a very good ability to give it that extra terrain bonus. Effects Clear also is very nice to have for anyone that likes abusing positive effects on the enemy team. And Destroy, of course, is always a very openly welcome skill on any build to guarantee that if the opposing side is using a shield in some form or way, that you can cut it down very quickly and prevent it from getting in the way of maybe your nuker or someone else on the team.